Star Wars: The Force Unleashed was a mixed bag experience for a lot of gamers. It had its share of both great successes and massive failures. While the story and the gameplay were considered solid by some and exemplary by others, it suffered from ridiculous load times, frequent crashes, and an overall glitchy presentation. But that didn't stop many people from loving it, including us. But now The Force Unleashed 2 is upon us. Is this a product of lessons learned, or is this a whole new nest of issues? In Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2, players once again control Starkiller, the Jedi in secret who makes the Emperor's powers look like parlor tricks in comparison to his own. The adventure starts off by escaping from Darth Vader's clutches in the clone vats on Kamino. From there, Starkiller scours the galaxy to find his lost love Juno. Along the way, he encounters a few familiar faces from both the original Star Wars: Force Unleashed and the greater Star Wars galaxy at large. This time around, instead of carrying one lightsaber into battle, Starkiller now carries two, as he chops his way through stormtroopers and battle droids in search for his answers. Controlling like all other major hack and slashers, it's dashed with minor role-playing elements, allowing you to boost your skills and customize your lightsabers. There is a healthy dose of platforming in this entry to the series, and players will be happy to hear that Starkiller's controls have been fine-tuned for the challenge. There's also a small amount of puzzle solving, which involves finding power supplies and placing them into doorways, but for the most part, The Force Unleashed 2 is a very straightforward game. All of the insane Force powers returned from the original, like Force Push, Force Lightning, Force Repulse, and so on. New to Starkiller's repertoire of skills is the Jedi Mind Trick, which causes human opponents to either turn on one another or commit suicide. Force Unleashed 2 is easy on the eyes. It's not groundbreaking in terms of visuals, but fans of the original will appreciate the new glitch-free paint job. Gamers will also remember the horrific load times while accessing the menus and subscreens from the original. We're happy to report that the menu system is instantaneously responsive and mapped intuitively. The enemies look great and the music is wonderful, as gamers would expect from a Star Wars title. Unfortunately, The Force Unleashed 2 isn't all good, and the nits we need to pick with it just might be game breakers for some players. For starters, there is a significant lack of variety in the game's atmospheres. While playing, gamers will only experience about 4 majorly different locations: Kamino, the inside of a rebel cruiser, a floating Nemoidian city, and a very, very short visit to Dagobah. This issue directly stems from the game's incredibly short length. The 9 levels the game presents will take most gamers only an evening or two to complete, and the game is only artificially lengthened by the extremely long final boss fight, which doesn't prove a challenge at all. We completed the final fight in one try. The ease of the battle and its repetitive nature proved to be monotonous at best. Overall, the challenge level is a little low, which is probably a direct response to the unexpectedly tough bosses in the original. We recommend bumping up the difficulty level for seasoned gamers. Finally, the storyline is a far cry from what was accomplished with the original Force Unleashed. Certainly, Force Unleashed 2 had big shoes to fill. The game doesn't go much further than Starkiller's obsessive search for Juno in terms of intertwining the story into the existing Star Wars timeline. For everyone who is dazzled by the all-CGI television commercials, or by the trailers showing off Boba Fett and Yoda, don't get your hopes up too high. As giant Star Wars fans, it pains us to say that Force Unleashed 2 is probably only worth renting for a few days. After completing the storyline and then replaying the final boss to see both endings, there's little reason to go back. We were happy to see the graphical improvements and the more approachable controls, but the subpar storyline and the super short campaign make us hesitate hitting the purchase button at full retail price. Some Star Wars fans may love it, but once again, everyone else will see Force Unleashed as a mixed bag experience.
Great shot! Now get up here!